Now, here's the host of Good as Gold, Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Don Gause. I'm sitting in for Nick today. He's off. Having a little bit of fun. If you have any questions for me, or you want to just bring something up, you can call us at Money Radio at 602-324-1510, or if you're calling from outside Arizona, 800-293-5366. And I know there's people that listen to the station on the internet, because I get calls from people from all over the country saying they listen to Nick's show, which always amazes me. But just to give you an idea, I got a couple of housekeeping things I should probably, go take care of first. I mean, it's been another one of those kind of not much happening weeks. Gold's currently at 1140.80. Silver's making a little bit of a run. It's up about $1, I think, from last week at 1562, and platinum's at 942. The interesting thing on silver, even though it's up, we can probably, the supply is starting to ease up as the price goes up a little bit, so we can probably sell you stuff for the same price today as we could last week. It's just one of those things that as the price of silver's gone up, the premiums are starting to come back into line with what's normal. They're still a little bit high, but getting a little more reasonable. Just for your information, we have a little quiz that's on our website every week, and it's worth your time to go out there and look at it. You guess the spot price of gold. If you're close, I think it's the close of business yesterday. Jen's nodding yes. If you're close, you win a Silver Eagle, and if you nail it right on, you get a $5 Gold Eagle, which is a 10th ounce of gold. Anybody can guess. We probably should ask guys that have won a couple of times to quit guessing so that other people have a shot. But just for your info, George A. from Lake Havasu won this week. And George, a personal note, you nailed it at 1143. You're going to get a $5 Gold Eagle. And I've been meaning to call you, but I've been very busy at the office. I do have some First Spouse gold coins that you might be interested in. That's a pretty rare coin that you can buy for the same price per ounce as a Gold Eagle. I have not a lot of them, but we have a few that I can offer to people right now. I picked up some from a client this week. So if you're interested, it's a coin you can buy as a bullion coin that, if might turn into a collector coin in the future, but at the very least, you're not paying extra for it. Just to mention that I bought those from a client. The last 2 weeks have been super busy. In the last 2 weeks, we've bought over $2 million worth of coins. And it makes me think about something in the coin market that it's not really readily apparent. And I've been at this for 15 years buying coins and 30 years working with Nick before that as his accountant. And one of the things that really puzzles me about the coin market in general is how most of the dealers work. I mean, I bought $2 million worth of coins in the last couple of weeks, and some of those clients I've been working with for 4 or 5 years. I started out selling them some bullion because a lot of dealers just aren't that interested in selling you bullion. The profit margins are much lower, and doing our CPR, our coin performance review for people, and making some recommendations. And sometimes you have to be patient with especially big collectors. But the things that puzzle me about it are these people were people that had bought from multiple dealers. They were smart people. They did their homework. They thought they knew what they were doing. And when they started to get interested in selling for whatever reason, they started talking to they tried to be smart again, and they called up a lot of dealers. They talked to the dealers they bought from. And there's a couple of curious things I always find is most dealers seem to only want to buy back the coins they bought from you. And part of the reason they do that is that they like to tell you they don't charge you a fee or they don't make any money when they buy coins back from you. Little secret there, when people aren't making money, they're usually not very motivated to do things. We make money buying coins back from you. We make money selling coins from you. We're just going to be honest with you about the whole transaction. And it's hard enough when we're busier than heck to sometimes get our attention to do things when we're running around like nuts, and we're obviously going to the people that that make our life a little bit easier and the people that we think are the better leads. But a lot of dealers will only buy back the coins that they sell you because they're not going to overpay. They're willing to overpay sometimes for the coins that they sold you, but they're not going to overpay for somebody else's coins. And that's the first part. The second part is a lot of the dealers, they quote you the price they sell coins for, and it's hard to get a price that they'll actually buy it back for. They don't like to talk about spreads. And the honest answer is when you're buying collector or numismatic coins, the spreads between bid and ask are a little bit more for even the best countries and the dealers in the world. They're a little more than they are with bullion coins because there's more risk there. When we're buying and selling bullion coins, we don't know how long they'll sit in our inventory. We don't know how hard it is going to be to sell them. So you're assuming a lot more risk buying those types of coins than you are bullion, so you can work at a much smaller spread when you're buying and selling bullion. But the big thing I notice is it's just hard to sell that stuff, and eventually they come back to us because we've been just kind of transparent with them and told them what we're willing to do and been honest with them about where the market is. I just started working with a gentleman, kind of interesting, but it sort of shows you what happens, especially at the upper ends of this marketplace. I talked to a guy, and we've been talking back and forth for a little while, but he's got a really rare coin. He's got a $17.99 $10 Liberty. It's an NGC, that's one of the better grading firms, MS63 with a CAC holder, which Nick is always talking about how the CAC holder helps us get extra money out of the coins. What's it worth? That's a really good question. We started to do some investigation. I mean, there's only 2 of those coins in NGC holders and only 14 in a PCGS holder, 9 better coins. You start to go out there and look, and NGC and PCGS list a retail value of $70,000 to $76,000 between the 2 of them. And we've done a little bit of homework. We have an educated guess that we probably could get $40,000 to $45,000 for the coin pretty easily. Then, if you did a deal with us, it's our mission to go out and try and get a little bit more than that, but that's kind of a starting spot. Well, I had a nice conversation with him, and he said to me, well, I think the coin's worth $85,000. Oh, we're about to go to ad. I'll have to finish this when we get done. I think I have a minute left. Maybe I can finish. He thinks the coin's worth about $85,000. I said, well, where'd you come up with that money? Well, I'm working with a neighbor of mine that used to work for PCGS, used to work for NGC, has been in the business for years. He's kind of retired. And he thinks that if we can get the coin in a PCGS holder and get a CAC sticker on it, there's big ifs on both of those things, that maybe we can get $85,000 to $95,000 for it. And I'm sitting there scratching my head, and he hasn't given me an honest answer yet about what his neighbor sold him the coin for. But if you think you can game the system with all these ifs, you should stay away from this stuff, because we're dealers, and every once in a while we make a mistake on this stuff, and we've been at this a long time. So there's nothing as straightforward of if I can do this and if I can do that. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in that scenario, and I tell you to stay away. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. If you want, you can call us at 602-324-1510 or 800-293-5366 to ask any questions. Thank you.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Don Gause sitting in for Nick Grovich. Again, I'll get into the housekeeping stuff first. We have an upcoming seminar at the JW Marriott in Palm Desert, California, for our Palm Springs listeners. It's on November 4th. It's from 1 to 4. And when we say 1 to 4, we'll stay as long as you need us to, or if you want, we can even set up an appointment for you the next day. Call our office at 800-221-7694 to reserve your spot. I don't know how many seats we have available, but usually they fill up pretty quickly. Or you can go online at our website, www.americanfederal.com. Under the events tab, you can fill out a form to get signed up for that. They're a great way to meet all of us in person. Ask any questions you have. You can bring your coins or lists of your coins to have us do a CPR for you and give you an idea. Coin performance review, I'm big on that. Because a lot of dealers just tell you to buy, and you're going to give these to your great-grandkids. These coins are going to be in your family for the rest of your life. Things change in life. I mean, sometimes an investment that was a great investment, a year or two ago isn't such a great investment now, and sometimes certain parts of the market get overheated. On this last trip where we bought a couple $1 million worth of coins, one of the guys I saw, 5 years ago, I offered to buy his, he had $50 gold eagles. They're a 1-ounce coin, but his were proof coins. And at the time, the market in those coins was superheated, and I offered to trade him out of those $50 1-ounce proof gold eagles and give him 2 1-ounce regular gold eagles, which same coin basically, just made a little differently, for every one of his proof gold eagles. And he was talking to it. We've done business with him before that, but he had another dealer that had his ear too, and she thought this was a market that never was going to end, and he went with her advice. She's not in business anymore. And I wish I could offer him the same deal, but right now those proof $50 gold eagles are worth about $200 more. Deals like that only come up once in a while. The premiums don't last forever. Dealers start to push stuff out the door. You get premiums over their intrinsic value that don't last forever. So that's one of those things I'd like to warn people about. That's one of the reasons it's important for us to know what you have, so we can bother you. We can give you some opportunities to take advantage of those things. One of the last couple of shows, we asked we asked for ideas from our listeners to what we don't do very well or what you wanted to hear about. And I had a guy call me at the office, and he says, one of the things you never talk about is how to get started in this stuff. And it's a valid question, because we talk about all these big deals and everything else, but there's a lot of people that just want to get started, and we're not giving you a path. The first thing I would tell you to do is, before you get started, is figure out what your goals are. Why are you interested in investing in a hard asset like gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, all the things that we can deliver? I mean, there's some guys out there selling copper, and be careful, the spread between bid and ask is probably thousands of a percentage on that, because it costs as much to make a 1-ounce copper coin as it does to make a 1-ounce gold coin, and the markup, the production cost is in there. So there's a lot of different things. The very worst reason to get started is panic, and that's what a lot of people sell. They sell panic. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cubs winning last night's game is being taken as a sign of apocalypse by a few people and need to buy gold and silver. You just don't know. I'm a big baseball fan. I'd love to see the Cubs win a World Series, but I just love to watch the World Series, whoever wins it. A lot of guns and a lot of gold have been sold in this country because Obama was elected president seven years ago, and to be honest with you, a lot of people that listen to radio stations like this, when Bush was president, we'd walk into people's houses, and you probably have never heard of this, but it's a really liberal magazine, Mother Jones. And when Bush was president, all the coin dealers that advertised on the conservative talk shows were advertising on Mother Jones, telling you why the Republicans and the conservatives were going to take your money away, just the same way they do now, why Obama is going to take away your money. And it's the same kind of thought process. It sort of pushes your buttons and tries you to get you to do things. There's a lot of great reasons to have a hard asset, in your portfolio. The biggest thing is diversity. It makes sense to have different things in your portfolio, to be as diverse as possible, because nobody I don't care how brilliant you are, you're going to make mistakes. And there's nobody that's right all the time, and there's nobody that knows for sure what's happening. So I guess the first thing I'd like to tell you is the good reasons to buy gold. The first thing is, if you're looking for a hedge against gold, what you're really looking for is an alternative currency, and gold is probably, a hedge against the dollar. Gold's probably the oldest, alternative currency out there. Some people are going to Bitcoin. Some people buy Swiss francs or euros. Swiss francs have been a great investment in the last 5 years. Euros have been a terrible investment. So gold is just another way to have an alternative currency. It's a very valid reason to have it. And it's a much more sane approach to it than being panicked about something. There are people out there that are worried that we're getting near end times, and they have a mix of gold and silver. Kind of makes sense for those kind of people. If you're worried about barter exchange, I would always caution people that when there was rampant, when things were wild in Brazil, people weren't buying things with gold and silver coins. When the currency fell apart, they were basically trading a new kind of currency. They were trading loaves of bread. They were having a skill or being able to make food probably worked much better than having gold and silver if things get that bad. But the whole thought is to have smaller gold coins, have silver. When you look at catastrophe, I look at what's gone on in Europe. A couple of weeks ago, I met with a gentleman in upstate New York who, he grew up in Hungary, and when in the 70s, when things got bad in Hungary, he and a bunch of his friends, they moved to the Belgian Congo because they had a business opportunity to make money there, and they were successful there. But guess what? The Europeans, I guess the French, pulled out at some point in the 80s, and there was chaos there. And he and all his business partners figured out how to salvage whatever they could, and they moved to South Africa after that. And then after South Africa fell apart with apartheid, they basically figured out how to scrape together everything they could, and they ended up in New York City. And woe and intrigue. I mean, New York City is a pretty happening place. A lot of things are going right. But in 2001, he decided to move up into the Catskills because of what happened with 9/11. And he's doing well there and has an interesting business plan. But his lifestyle is built around catastrophe, and he's got a bunch of everything there. He's got foodstuffs. He's got enough property that there's wildlife to hunt and everything else that he needs to do. But that's a good reason to have a little cache of gold and silver. The gold you can put in your pocket and maybe get yourself to a new country if you need to. And knock on wood, I hope that never happens to any of us. And the silver is basically to buy food stuff, to do other, to be able to buy things that you might need. The joke is that there may be nothing to buy if things are that bad. But that's a couple of the reasons. I'll get into a few other things after the break. I think we're about to go on break here in a second. I just want to remind you to sign up for our seminar November 4th from 1 to 4 at Palm Desert, the JW Marriott at Palm Desert. Call the office at 800-221-7694. You can sign up on our website, AmericanFederal.com. And I think you'll find it very interesting. You'll get a chance to meet us and look us in the eye and decide if you want to take some advice from us going forward. Again, if you have any questions, you can call in here at 602-324-1510 or 800-293-5366. Thank you.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Don Gause sitting in for Nick. And feel free, I'll be in the office probably about 2:30, 2:45. If you have any questions, suggestions, anything you want to talk to me about, call the office at 800-221-7694. In the meantime, if you want to call in and ask a question here, 602-324-1510 or 800-293-5366. Now, we were talking about how to get started and the reasons to get started. The best reason is to diversify your portfolio with hard assets that you actually hold in your hands. Since there aren't a lot of things that you can actually hold in your hands. It's not like if you buy a stock in Ford or General Motors that you actually hold that stock, that you hold a little piece of the company in your hand. You're relying on people. So that's a nice reason to have it. We recommend you start with bullion because of the liquidity. It's the easiest thing to buy and sell. The market is worldwide. The difference between what you pay for it and what you sell it for, the day, if nothing ever moves one iota, is the smallest. There's the smallest spread between bid and ask. So you have the least risk the day that you buy it. And that's why we like to have you in it. Now, how do you get started? You just have to do your research, find people you feel comfortable with, understand what the marketplace is. I would caution you to, if you shop too much, you may get in trouble because there are guys out there that sell bullion for less than sometimes than I can buy it for. And there's always a little word of caution. We just had a big dealer in California who's been at this a long time, and he basically kind of a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme, where apparently he owes about $17 million to clients, and it just sort of got, happened over time. He was buying stuff and, using the next guy's money to buy it because he really wasn't making any, anybody that tells you they can run a business on a 1% margin, you probably should run. Either that or they're sneaking something in there. It's hard enough to do it. We try to make 3 to 5% on bullion, and it's hard. It's a viable business. We sell an awful lot of bullion, but I'll be honest with you, we make more money helping people get out of their rare coin investment than we do selling you bullion, but it's both part of our business plan. So that there's a reason to have it, the diversification, everything else. The next thing I'd tell you is to have a plan. I meet with 20 or 30 people a week. I'm on the road 25 to 30 weeks a year. I don't get to tell people good news very often because most people get talked into rare coins. When they call to buy gold, they get talked into buying, and they're not even rare coins. They're more semi-numismatic, but they get talked into buying rare coins that don't make sense. They're less liquid, and the dealers talk them into it because the profit margin's higher for them. So I don't get to give people good news very often. But when I do get to give people good news, it's usually the little guy that became a big guy by doing everything right. If you talk to anybody that talks about savings, the only way you're ever going to grow a small pile into a big pile is to have a plan, and that's to buy a little bit at a time. I see the guys that are making money that I see are the guys that just had a plan to buy X amount of gold or silver every month, and they've been doing it for 30 years. So they had days when they bought it $1,900 gold, and they have days when they bought it $300 gold, and there's a lot more days at $300 gold in the last 20 years than there are at $1,900. So it all works out really well. It's called dollar cost averaging investing. And if this is what you want to have a portion of your assets in, the best plan is to just get started. Find people you feel like you can trust. Don't let anybody bully you into stuff, and just start buying a little bit at a time. Even my big guys, the market's been kind of on a downward trend lately, and I've got a lot of guys that have called me up and say, hey, I want to spend $500,000 or $1 million on bullion, and I still don't have all those guys fully invested. Maybe you'd think I'm a bad salesman for doing that. I'm just trying to be honest with them, and it's worked out pretty well. You could get in a lot of trouble if all of a sudden you sell a house and you've got $100,000, $200,000 sitting in a bank account, and you get worried about spending it all at once or investing it all at once. Having money in a savings account isn't very glamorous, but taking your time to do some research and to spend it wisely or invest it wisely. You don't lose money having it in your bank account for a few days while you're figuring out what to do. But because I see people all the time that, oh my, I just sold my business, I have $500,000, and I just, the long and the short of it is they just spend $500,000 on $300,000 worth of rare coins. So that's the kind of markups we see, and there's a few dealers out there that can turn $1 million into $250,000 real easily. I've seen it all. I've actually shown up at people's houses that have spent $100,000 and had to tell them their coins are worth $1,800, and it's not much fun. I'm always worried a little bit that somebody's going to go overboard and shoot the messenger. You just have to worry about stuff like that. Just to give you one idea, this is not something many dealers would share with you, but this is about a year old, so the price of gold's a little bit higher when I did this, but I was at a client's office, and I've been traveling around with the 2019 gray sheet. The gray sheet is the coin dealer newsletter that tells you what the site seen bids on coins. So site seen bids are bids that you may or may not be able to actually get for coins, and you're probably going to pay more if you're buying this stuff because the spread's a little bit bigger. But basically, I was looking at the 1999 sheet. Gold was at $254, and when I was back in 2014, gold was at $1,300 when I was at this guy's house, and that's a 400% increase in the price of gold. And they had $5 Indians in MS65. It's a pretty rare coin. Well, back in '99, the bid on that coin was $10,700, and in 2014, the bid was $10,500. So it was down 1.9%. Even really common, there's a lot of MS65 $20 saints. Probably, I would guess off the top of my head, well over 100,000 coins in that grade. The MS65 in '99 was bid at $850, and in 2014 it was up to $2,000, so an increase of 135%. But most people that bought it when the bid was $850 probably paid $1,400, whereas at $254 gold, you were probably able to buy. Honestly, you're probably able to buy gold eagles for right around $300, $310. The worst guy in the country couldn't have gotten more than $350 for him at that point in time. So you just see the kind of stuff that goes on here, and it just goes on. And if you sit down and go through the coin performance review, that's the kind of stuff that we show you. Again, it's really important for you to know what your goals are with this stuff, because it's so easy to get deflected by a good salesman. And I would never describe myself as a good salesman. I'm just more of an open book. I just tell you what I think and what I've seen in my life experience, and I let the chips fall where it may. I see it in my career. I've seen guys that are just dizzyingly good salesmen at some of these coin dealers. They don't know a darn thing about coins, but man, they are really good at pressuring people and following up and beating people up to do what, bend them to their will, and that's what you got to stay away from. Have your goal, understand where you want to be, and get there. And then afterwards, don't be afraid to talk to other people and get other opinions. Just have a little bit of I would tell you to have a little bit of a open mind about the whole thing, because most of the dealers you talk to in the country aren't Nick Grovich. They're not going to sit there and tell you to buy bullion for the most part. And from the other standpoint, we have been recommending rare coins again for the first time in a long time, but the coins that Nick is recommending are not the coins that most people are going to offer you, and they're definitely not for everybody, because there's two kinds of rare coins I like to advise people about. The first one is a really rare coin that has a shot and to make some money in the future, but no guarantees. And the other one is you're looking at a bullion coin that I sell you for the same price of bullion that maybe they didn't make many of, and maybe the collectors will find it in 10 years, but you're not paying anything extra. So if you wanted to buy gold or silver, you're buying something for the same price as gold and silver, and maybe have a shot for us to call you up 10 years from now and say, hey, you know that coin we sold you for gold and silver, now we'd like to give you 2 ounces for every ounce that we sold you. Because it does happen once in a while. The market on these modern coins is actually, I don't know if it's dealer driven, promotion driven. There seem to be collectors on this modern stuff. The coins that, if you go look at the best performing coins on the PCGS website over the last 5 years, most of the coins that are at the top of that list are coins that no coin dealer in the country would have offered to you for a couple of reasons. A lot of them didn't exist, or at least didn't exist in that grade, or they're not something that was at the top of mind. I mean, the smartest coin dealer in the country would have never told you to buy a Kennedy $50 in a high grade and think it might be worth $3,000 or $4,000 nowadays. And there are coins like that. That's it.
Once again, here's Nick Grovich.
Hi, this is Don Gause, sitting in for Nick. I just wanted to also let you know you're going to hear a bunch of ads for Financial Fest on November 14th. And we will be there. We'll have a booth, and I think Nick is giving about a 45-minute presentation at Financial Fest. And again, feel free to bring your lists of coins or anything else that you'd like to. Nick will be there signing copies of his book. And again, it's just people ask me all the time why we do all this education and why Nick is so big on that kind of stuff. And I'll just be honest. I mean, when you're moving a lot of bullion, you don't make a lot of money on every transaction. So it's so much easier to deal with an educated, client list that understands what we're trying to accomplish, and we're trying to understand what you're trying to accomplish. And it just works better. I mean, I can't tell you how often when people don't know what's going on, they just don't understand how the business works and how you just have too many misunderstandings that way. And I don't know how some of these dealers can do it the way they work. It's like when they sell you something the first time, they spend the next 10 years reselling you the stuff they sold you 10 years ago because it was the wrong stuff. It just makes so much more sense to have people understand what they're doing. If the price of gold goes down, they understand what happened to them. I mean, I think gold is going to go up. I think silver is going to go up. I think platinum is going to go up even more than gold and silver. But I mean, there's a lot of things that could make that not happen. And anybody that promises you they have the gold bullet that's going to guarantee you profits going forward, run and hide, because nobody knows for sure. That's one of the reasons we prefer our clients to be educated, and we prefer our clients to be diversified, because you don't know. I also wanted to let you know, goodasgoldadvice.com is out there. I think we have videos, these previous shows, so you can watch those, or we have a podcast. We also have clips on YouTube all the time. That's starting to happen. Just warn everybody, I look a little like Jack Nicholson from Chinatown. If you have to be pretty old to know what that is, but I had some cancer surgery on my nose. I'm going to be fine, but I look a little disconcerting. Nick's also doing more and more on Facebook and Twitter for the younger listeners out there that understand that. Again, I talk about diversity, having a plan. I think all that's really important. Understanding, being educated. But at some point, you just have to pick up the phone, decide you trust somebody, and start buying. There are a lot of good dealers out there. I'm not going to say we're the only dealer in the country. Just be really careful if you call 4 or 5 guys and one guy is $30 cheaper on gold eagles. There's something wrong there. I mean, sometimes I can sell you, it's hard to find them, but damaged gold eagles I can buy probably for $30 less, but you're going to get $30 less when you sell them also. There's a lot of different ways to play that game, or there are guys out there that, there's one guy that sells stuff for spot price, but he has a whole year to fill your order. You have to send him the money right away, but he has a whole year. So what happens if you're right and the price of gold keeps going up for the next year? Do you think he's going to be able to fill your order and take a loss? Or at some point that guy's going to be out of business and you're just going to be standing in line waiting for a bankruptcy filing, trying to figure out how to get whatever you can get out of it. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you have to be careful about. And I will also caution you, the guys that spend millions and millions of dollars on advertising, they've got to pay for all that advertising. They got to pay for the celebrity endorsements. They've got to, if you love the celebrity that's endorsing them, remember you're probably paying a few extra dollars for that celebrity. So if you love them, that's fine. But you just got to understand you're paying for it. So those are the kind of things I got to warn you about. The other things are, when somebody starts talking about, and I do it too sometimes, because I really think platinum's a great way to invest right now. And you have to be an optimist to like platinum because it's an industrial metal. It's used mostly in catalytic converters. The world economy is not that good. We're the shining beacon of things going right, and we don't feel like things are going very right in this country right now. And but if the world turns around, everybody starts buying more cars and everything else, platinum should probably far outperform gold and silver in that environment. If you're not an optimist, don't buy platinum, but it's a nice prong of your investment portfolio that you should look at. But I would also tell you, don't be afraid to sit there and say, Don, I'm just not interested in platinum if I'm droning on and on about it. And I try very hard to listen to my clients, but every once in a while you get into your own thing and you don't, I appreciate clients that tell me when I'm off base. Because the best part of a good relationship with a dealer is honesty, and you got to be honest with me, and I'll be honest with you back. So that's how we're gonna make things work the best for you. So the big thing I wanted to go into there is most of the people we run into get talked into buying coins that are the wrong coin for what they really need to do. And one of the things I was talking a little earlier about premiums over gold price and silver price, I was talking about the proof gold eagles. Well, if somebody talked you into buying proof silver eagles, we still can trade you into 2 ounces of silver for a proof silver eagle. So that's the kind of stuff. If you send us your portfolio for our CPR on your portfolio, for us to look at your portfolio and give you our recommendations, that's the kind of stuff we can help you with. Also, with the price of silver and gold going down, a lot of you will go, this doesn't make any sense, but I can tell you I've done a couple of very, very large deals that at $1,600 gold did not make any sense to do. I mean, they did sort of make sense from a liquidity standpoint, because if you have a bunch of $20 saints and libs at $1,800 and $1,900 gold, I couldn't find buyers for as many coins as I was being offered. And that there's nothing more frustrating than that. I could have bought at those prices, I could buy all the gold bullion I want from you. We work on a lower margin. We make some money, but we don't make as much moving that, but we also don't have as much risk. We can buy it and sell it rapidly. It's a worldwide market. We don't have any problems. But at $1,800 and $1,900 gold, heck, the first time gold went over $1,000, there were no buyers for $20 saints in the common grades that we see out there. Now, a funny thing's happening as the price of gold has come back from $1,900 to $1,100. Dealers are still out there selling it. I mean, they have to keep their doors open. They have to sell things. And as they sell, most people are just figuring it's not a good time to sell, so nobody's out there selling this stuff into the marketplace. So what happens? The premium over gold goes up. So if you wanted to trade out of those types of things and have a bigger pile of gold, you can get a bigger pile of gold and make yourself much more liquid right now. And that doesn't happen very often. Again, frustration on my part. There are times where I'm going to tell you not to do anything, and there are times where I'm going to tell you it makes sense to do things. And us having a list of your coins and understanding what you're trying to accomplish will help us with that kind of a goal. Right now, it's a great time to do some things with Morgan dollars, Peace dollars, $20 gold. The premiums are higher than they've been in a long time. You can end up with a bigger pile of gold and silver. And really, in the long run, that's what it's all about, is having more. So, and that's what we try to help you with. We're getting near the end. Somehow I made it through a whole hour. Give us a call at 800-221-7694. Anytime you have a question. I'm Don Gause, and somehow I survived another hour. Thanks. If you have any calls, call me with any suggestions for doing a better job in the future. I appreciate it. Thank you.